Wow. And the meeting is open,
All
fellow
right.
gardeners.
Hello.
Hello. I don't have your agenda in front of me, Alyssa, so if you've got it, just put us through the 3 points on it, and then we'll make it quick.
Okay. We just wanted to go over the garden update and cleanup date discussion if a cleanup date is necessary. Garden improvement ideas for next year, and just wrap up any questions and comments for the end of the year, or I guess the end of the season.
Right.
So.
In terms of cleanup, I did see Marcia today. She said that she cleaned out almost everything out of the beds, and the composter came today.
Perfect.
In a box. So I can get that assembled and over there in the next week or two, probably over Columbus Day weekend. And we can load some of that plant material that she's piled up into it, and some of the dirt that was left over, and get that sort of cooking for the fall. She said she left the flowers and herbs, which is fine. And she harvested a couple of bags of peppers, which I think she was trying to get to you. Ann, did those get to you?
We did get some peppers. Sometimes I don't know where things come from, but I think so. I think so.
Yeah, she said it. She said it was a couple of shopping bags full of the last of the peppers.
Okay.
So it sounds like that was over there.
Yeah, like I say, sometimes things just show up and I don't know where they've come from. Somebody also brought some beautiful tomatoes over the other day that looked like they might have come from there, but I didn't know if your plants were still producing.
I'm pretty sure that Marcia has pulled all of the tomatoes out. I haven't been there in about 2 weeks since the weather turned. I just haven't been able to get over there, although I have to be over there tomorrow because I got to load all those nips into the back of a box truck.
Yeah.
Well,
Saturday.
thank you for sharing that love with Teague. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, you've been partners in the project. It would have been nice if we could have actually had the Teague gardeners down there more.
Yeah.
But certainly there was some of that, and I'm glad we were able to get it to you in general.
Yep.
But in terms of cleanup, I really don't think there's going to be much, but I'll have a better sense of it after tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm just going to open the spigots on those rain barrels and let them drain.
Yeah.
There's no reason to leave them full at this point.
Yeah. Especially when a freeze comes.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that'd be disastrous. So what else do we have? Just a couple of items, I know.
Then I had thrown out there maybe we could talk about any major glaring things that we thought maybe we should improve on for next year. But I think probably the biggest challenge was only needing to bring some water to the site, to water the middle section. That was probably the major issue I saw. I mean, besides that, I thought it went very smoothly, honestly. With
yeah, I mean, we're already talking in the office about opening registration up, January, February for the actual original plan of rentals. I think everybody's more comfortable with it having run it for a season, and people are generally aware of it. So I think we'll get better response. So Leslie is pretty much ready within the next month or two, when things slow down for her from the school end a little bit, to create a registration form. What we did talk about was the potential fees we had set was $20 for a single bed, $40 for a double, but she pointed out that rec would incur some credit card processing fees. So I said, well, we'll just up it by $5 to $25 and $45, and then that $5 will go to Teague, not to Teague, to rec as the host. So I think that's easy enough. I think we will get some participation next year, now that people have become sort of aware of it, and we can sort of use that backup plan if we don't fill it to capacity, which we still probably won't in the first year of having like the Girl Scouts and Rec and Teague share that space with us in some more communal way.
That would be great.
Get back to that.
So I will let you know a couple of things that I just really warmed my heart and made me happy was that, a couple of times we were able to say to staff, just go down and pick when we said it was our turn to pick. And I think it was a good break during the day and brought food directly back to the pantry. All the dropping of food at the pantry was an awesome thing. But then the kids, we took a couple of clients up there and their children. And what I found out later, well, first of all, when we did that, I then drove through Rivermill and just distributed food out of my car, which was it was just cool. And people were really happy to get the food. And then afterwards found out that a couple of the kids that we're working with actually go over and kind of hang out by the garden and occasionally pick something to eat, which was really what we were hoping, is that it would attract that kind of over the fence type of interest. They would just mention afterwards, yeah, I went over to the garden and I saw that the tomatoes were coming in, so I took one. I hope that's okay. And there was that kind of sweetness with the garden that I thought was, I loved that they did that and that they respected it. We didn't see any kind of vandalism.
Yeah, not a bit. And that was a concern I had just because, it's back off the road sort of, and certainly the potential for mischief existed, but the site was pristine pretty much the whole time. Yep. I don't think anything ever went amiss there. We do have all of the playground equipment, all of it. The climber, the picnic table, the bike rack, the sign and signposts, it's all in hand. Now, Rich has told me that he's going to go put that stuff in at the end of the road construction season, which of course is going to leave it not terribly useful for this season, but means it would be in place for next season. So that would, hopefully, I'm not going to run into any more snags at selectmen meetings, so I can get that in. Since we've bought it and have it, it's got to go in, and it was a condition of the grant, and I think sort of this hand-wringing about potential liability is goofy at best. Like, by that rationale, we should just go uninstall all of our playground equipment since they're all unstaffed on town property, right? I mean, where's the logic? But hopefully we'll get over that hurdle shortly, and then Rich will put that in. He did promise that to me. The water situation, I think we're going to be stuck with those water barrels probably for another season. I am hoping to overcome this obstacle about getting the foundation fixed, but I don't think that we're going to be able to substantively rehab that building so that I can get the water turned on. I mean, maybe. It is all town-owned, but the thing is, if somebody leaves the water running, that's a problem. When we changed the way we're using TLGV's grant funds, and I sort of said, well, we're not going to have communal tools there because nobody's going to be sharing tools in COVID. I also didn't get the irrigation stuff because there was no water source. And I just closed that grant yesterday. So there's no more of the grant funds, so to speak, left, although the reimbursement will go back to EDC for what they fronted. I'll probably start looking at like that kids gardening grant again, and the one that you and I put together that I submitted under Teague's name for next season. I actually think we've got a better narrative now. Yep. So, hopefully we'll score a little better and get that equipment coming into us. but it's obviously it's a slightly different project than what we described in that original grant, which
Okay.
is fine. I think,
Yeah.
I think the utility is still high.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great.
We found, I think you guys did a great job holding interest, but it was funny that what I felt with our interest in our garden was that as the fall approached and we really had more harvest, that we had less organization and less interest in the garden. Do you feel like you experienced that at all?
Well, because of the nature of our volunteer group, I think it was sort of a more motivated group because of sort of the foundational organizational nature of the members. I mean, we're talking about people who trucked all that dirt in and
Right.
planned for it and spent money. So I think the mental investment was pretty high. I mean, our stuff's petered out now too. We didn't really succession plant, although apparently the peas that I planted 3 weeks ago are coming in now.
Yeah, we
So
have
you might-
lettuce. We definitely have
So
lettuce.
you might have some, you have lettuce coming in up there?
Yeah, we have some good lettuce because we have drip irrigation, and we have a timer too. So you were talking about water. We take the spigot off, and then we have a timer for the water and do drip irrigation. So when we do move toward things, we probably would want to move in that way, and then you wouldn't have people turning water on and off.
Yeah, I mean, that is what I want, is a timed drip system. It's a long way to go from the house to that bed in terms of tubing, but certainly not insurmountable. Just,
Yeah.
few hours work once there is water to hook to.
Right.
But I just realistically, given how my progress is being slowed, whether on purpose or inadvertently, I just don't see that water coming on next year.
Right.
Be hopeful, but so it is interesting what you say, Anne, about people just starting to just go over there to hang out. That is exactly what we wanted, and does set up sort of that master plan pretty well for that far end piece of that permaculture park and food forest.
Yep.
Which is the total end game of the whole thing. But I'm very pleased to hear that the mindset rises organically once the thing is there.
Yep, and I think that you can, maybe as discussions continue, that's good, just good information for you to have. And I came across all of that just as oh yeah, I was over there and I cooked a tomato. It was nothing where somebody actually took the children over there, but I thought it was a pretty healthy way for them to be spending time.
Yeah, it's perfect, especially for the way we chose to operate it this year. In terms of other things upcoming, I'm still hopeful we're going to get that bid opened and the foundation done. I do have a contractor who's going to walk the site with me a week from today, 2:00 Thursday afternoon on the 8th, with one of the guys from the building committee, and they're going to come up with a full rehab estimate. I mean, I kind of have one from Jason LaValle, but that one was very casual. This one will be a little more formal. So we'll have that to work with.
Building materials are rising as we speak. In the last 2 months, they've gone up 40%.
I believe it.
I've heard that as well from construction friends of mine.
Yeah.
It's tough,
It is tough.
especially lumber.
I do want to say to you that you may see, it depends on what ends up on the cutting room floor, but I just finished writing for the annual report, and I included the story of the garden by the river Antigua and Antigue's garden and kind of linked them together. So you may see that in the annual report. I just thought it was a great community story, but it goes to Angel House Design, and it kind of depends on what Laura thinks fits best into everything from now. So you may see it there, and I don't want you to be shocked, but you could use it further down the line as evidence for grant writing and so forth.
As soon as you said that, that's exactly what I thought. That is excellent support material.
Great minds.
Um,
Yep.
Great minds. The planning on the small business center is still going to go forward. I'm going to, and Anne, of course, I've already been back in touch with her, but Alyssa, just so you know, the 6 nonprofit partners were all committed to proceeding with that planning project, regardless of whether we got the grant, which we did not, although you should have seen the scores. They must have only given money out to grants that they scored a 10 out of 10, because the score sheets I got back were off the hook positive. So it was very strange that it didn't get funded. But once that happens, a part of that component is going to be public workshopping. So this group in particular, it obviously is going to need to be part of shaping that, because that's how we're going to decide how we're going to program that final use for the house. And quite frankly, even if we have to move that small business incubator someplace else in some other form, if we sort of lose the fight over the house itself. But I am proceeding as if everything is going to happen until everything's not going to happen. And then again, we'll have a plan and a program that we can use to support more grant writing to get this thing off the ground.
Awesome.
Question, what happened with the rain garden? Is that still?
Well, the rain garden was possibly going to get put in this year, but it didn't make any sense to do that if the house wasn't rehabbed yet, because construction debris coming off, or the exterior of the house, because construction debris coming off the roof and the siding, particularly the siding actually, because that needs to be a lead safe. I'm positive that is lead paint on the side of that house. Is going to need to be a lead safe encapsulation. So the rain garden will happen either as a part of ECCD's grant program or just independently, because it's a low cost measure.
Yeah.
We know exactly where it's going to go. But that's a part of the plan. It's just not a part of the immediate plan until the siding's done, really.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right.
Then maybe it'll bring some rain.
Yeah, maybe.
The end of the summer's been tough. Poor garden.
Well, it didn't look too bad the last time I was over there, but again, that was 2 weeks ago, and it's still been dry, so who knows?
I think the tomatoes would have lasted longer if we had had, a dribble of rain over the past month. And really, we didn't get much until yesterday, Tuesday night. So, but yeah, everything kind of wilted significantly over the past couple weeks. So,
my tomatoes at home here are cherry tomatoes. Are still producing hard. They're really still coming in fast.
Yeah, I have a tomato plant myself that's doing great. It's beautiful, green, healthy, but it has some shade protection. Yeah. Which, this garden has zero shade. Right.
Well, we also didn't cage the tomatoes, so there was a high amount of splash up of dirt that caused a fairly significant portion of them, I think, to sort of go soft on the vine as well. But we got a ton out of there.
We did.
Those plants that we brought out were fantastic.
Yep. The day we picked there, it was mostly cherries, and we just picked a ton of cherries. We did use up at Teague's garden, and then I brought it here for the first time this year. So at Teague's garden, we used cow panels, and everything was up on the cow panels, the tomatoes, the beans and peas, of course, anything tall. And I did that here in my garden the cow panels were too big, so I just did some fencing and let them grow up and just kept tying them up. And I really think that's why I'm still getting tomatoes. It's a really
Yeah.
simple fix. We could put them in the middle of those beds. I think it would be it's pretty attractive and makes for easy picking too.
Yeah, it would be nice. You know, we didn't have the tomato cages when we put them in, and by the time I got some over there, they had already gotten too top heavy to sort of squish them in.
Yeah.
I do have the ones that I brought over. I left in the shed for next year, although that shed is theoretically going to move next year to its final home, we hope. But yeah, I mean, just little things like that. Of course, if we're renting the plots to individuals, you know, individuals would be maintaining to grow whatever they want. But
Certainly.
I'm pretty sure we won't have full capacity in rental off the bat.
No.
Although if we do end up with that, that's a good problem to have. We actually have room to expand more garden space, although not necessarily the budget to do something as nice as we did. But there's always more grants.
Yep. All right. Yeah, so I think the only thing left on my official agenda was just any questions or comments people had, but I think we covered everything. So
yeah, I think with the three of us, it's a good wrap up, and I'll make some minutes out of this and send them to the group. And, you know, the dialogue can just continue via email. At some point, we'll decide when we want to meet again to plan for spring. I don't think that has to be until January, unless something really pressing comes up.
Sure.
You know, like, mostly in the way if some exciting opportunity comes up or something. But, you know, I think probably January. And, yeah, you should all go on Saturday, of course, to the Maker Faire.
Well, I'm sorry I won't be there, but I am sending Chelsea in my place. So look for her. She'll be looking for you.
Yeah, we've got a check cut and in hand, so we'll have that day.
Okay.
We could even do the silly thing with the big photo op check, but for, you know, $250. I'm not really sure that.
I don't know. It's kind of fun. You do what you want. Chelsea knows both Renee and Leslie, so she didn't know who you were, but I said to look for Renee or Leslie, and they could help you to locate each other.
Yeah, actually, it's probably going to be one of them or Beth Goldsmith who has the checks and the gift cards, because I'm going to be doing the presser for the NIPS program, but I'm also selling all day.
Okay.
So I'm trying not to be the one handling checks and gift cards that day, unless I need to get called over. But I'll be there. I'll be there all day.
If you see Renee tomorrow, will you see Renee you'll see Renee or Leslie before that. Can you just ask them to look for Chelsea then?
I will.
Yeah, and May Flexer knows Chelsea as well. So.
Okay. May's just going to be there at 11:30 in the morning, and then she's going to scoot, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
You know, I expect we'll have about a half an hour on that presser for whatever it's worth, and this has nothing to do with the garden. I have decided I'm going to look for an arts activation grant to commission an artist to make a piece of public art out of all those nips, since they are not recyclable. So I'm going to be hanging on to 50,000 nips for a little while until I can
good Lord.
find some funding for that.
Good Lord. That is crazy town.
It is pretty crazy town.
Some of the artists down in Putnam to, I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna seek the grant funding first, and then I'll probably do a call to artists.
Yeah. Cool. Good ideas.
They just pop into my head like little mushrooms after rain. Because I don't have enough to do with my time.
That's right. I love thinking up new ideas. My employees will look at me like, oh no, not again. Oh, I got an idea.
Well, you know, that NIPS thing grew such legs. I mean, from that day that I walked up to your office and they say, what do you think about the idea of NIPS for Tots? and then it happened. I mean, it's like the
And
weirdest little.
everybody's talking about it. I mean, it really is a big
Oh, yeah.
thing. So, yeah, it really is awesome.
All right, I think we probably covered all the bases. Alyssa, as chair, is there anything you want in particular to add? You know, your thoughts for next year? As you know, I'd really like the volunteers to guide this, and so I can step away from it, except in the sort of the larger picture stuff.
Sure.
But I won't step away until it seems like that's the logical course it's taking. I mean, how do you feel about heading into another season?
Oh, definitely. I would love to be a part of that. And, you know, whoever, if it's Leslie who ends up kind of designing, you know, a sign up, and if she wants to, you know, get together also to, you know, bounce some ideas off of how we're going to handle, you know, people's questions and who to contact, and, you know, or just in general, like how to keep the volunteers active with a new path, I guess, with how it will be handled next year. You know, definitely just keep me on dial for any ideas or how you want to connect. I'm more than willing to just keep running with it. So,
you know, Renee raised something interesting a few months ago, and you know, we're looking at a lot of other neighborhood revitalization efforts. One of them, for example, is early next year, DPW is supposed to fix the intersection at Blaine and 12, which happens to be the end of my street. They're going to tee it off and bump it out so that it's not a traffic free-for-all there anymore. I have very vocally said, yeah, go ahead and do that, but don't think that that's going to be a giant curb of asphalt and gravel. That's got to be landscape. That's the gateway now to this whole revitalization area. And Renee has suggested that once the community garden has its own momentum as a public function, that maybe this group can shift their focus not just to working on the 65 Main project, especially if that is slow to develop, but also to other sort of public gardening and landscaping efforts.
I would love to. The beautification of Thompson.
Correct. So something to keep in mind there as well.
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. So that, you know, just, I'm more than happy to, you know, just keep in touch with however we can keep people engaged. I'm more than happy to reach out to people with, you know, emails and whatnot and updates. So, yeah, I'm excited to keep it going. So.
Yeah, you know, it's a small group, but a mighty group. I think for a core group of maybe 5 or 6, and then sort of the satellite members who came on and helped here and there. You know, I think you guys got a tremendous amount of work done in the course of a year, and I think you are all exactly the kind of forward-thinking people who can continue to make stuff like this effective. I'd love to see some events organized around that garden next year, that like the ones we talked about this year, but just the timing was so terrible. But I think there'll be room for that kind of engagement as well going into next year. At least I hope so.
Yeah, definitely a weird year.
Yeah. Well, if we could get a garden going, 2 gardens going this year, we did all right.
I knew a lot of people reached out, because you know, when I would post on my social media accounts, a lot of really, really positive response from the community, people I know who live in town, people from out of town, you know, just really admiring, you know, how it came together and, you know, who it was benefiting, and, you know, just the teamwork it took to get it off the ground. So in general, I know that there's just a very positive light shining on it right now. So definitely want to take that and run with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great story to tell, and we should all keep telling it. I mean, it's my actual job to tell it, in addition to all the other stories that I tell. But having the people who worked on it continue to tell those stories is the other thing that's going to help sort of cement it in the public consciousness and help to expand it as it goes. So,
Definitely.
good job, all.
Good job,
Awesome.
everybody.
Yep.
Well, that's a half hour, and I think we've covered it. Shall we adjourn, ladies?
We
Yeah.
shall.
Okay, you guys have a great weekend. Alyssa, if you go down to the Maker Faire, stop by, say hi, and Anne, have a great vacation.
Thank you. I'd be at the Maker Faire, but I got to tell you, Tara, this is going to feel good, I think. I do.
I'm pretty sure you deserve it, Anne.
I'm pretty sure any one of us does. All right. Good luck, and I will see you all soon.
All right.
All right, take it easy.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.